Okay, good morning. This is Simon with Trading Perform Coaching. It is Friday, the 15th of July, and I wanted to show everyone the sequence of trades I took and why I took those trades, importantly, right? I was obviously long right here on ES. Normally, I don't trade after Econ, but there's a couple of things that led to that, part of which I was covering with Daniel Kay yesterday in a coaching session. And that led me to the conclusion, right? So a lot of this is just kind of taking notes and then adding to those notes or watching what's developing as you see things play out, right? So there's a couple of charts. So the short answer is I took the short answer to the question was, first of all, I noticed when NQ was getting pounded to the downside that ES simply wasn't going down, right? This is 730. We couldn't break the swing low. Um, there's a power bar combo to the left over here. There's a power bar combo to the left over and drop here. And then you come over here and they tried to break it to the downside, but the wave was relatively here. I'll tighten this up so y'all can see it easier. The wave was relatively, the down wave here was even after, like you'd expect econ for the volume to explode, it didn't explode, right? I actually had time to watch it, right? And so, where did I take it? Here or here? I don't remember if I took it here or here. I think I actually took it over 96, so I took it right here. I apologize. So the sequence was I could have taken it either way. Right at 7:30, it was going too fast. I wouldn't have done that. But we pushed up. We formed another power bar. They rolled it down. Excuse me, so I'm incorrect. They trapped into this power bar here to here. See when it has a purple and purple star, and I've been covering that. When there's a purple bar or a pink bar on the apex and it traps back in, it tends to get good rotation anyway. But that was the final step in the conclusion, right? The first step actually came off of this, right? Was off of here. So we've come down. I pointed out that there's a potential head and shoulders there at 37.52, right? But there was also a left shoulder. See how they set our left shoulder, right shoulder? Um, to me, it looks like it was over here. Like they tried to break above it and they failed, right? So usually when you try to bust the left shoulder and it fails, when they get back above it the second time, it usually gains traction, right? So then we have the overnight, and you can see that we're just clearly making higher highs and higher lows all the way through the session. So the clear takeout for me at this point was to come and take out the highs um, over here. We're to take out this high, and then extended targets would be back over here, right? So that was one part of the thing. If you go look at the ES profile and the NQ profile, here I can actually show this a better way. ES profile, and I'll show the NQ profile. So when you just look at the profile, sometimes it's just power of observation, right? So when you pull all this in, what they tried to do yesterday, see how we either too much or not enough. There we go. We try to break this base. See that? They try to break that base, and they pushed underneath it at 37.40. So this was just casual observation, right? There's clearly a left shoulder, right shoulder concept going on over here, right? And they tried to break that shoulder, and they couldn't. So if you assume this is the bottom of the range, right, and yesterday was the trap, right, then you would assume normally what happens when we trap is we go from one end of the range to the other end of the range, which means 38.70 is ultimately the very top end of that range, what you're looking for, right? Will it make it? I have no idea, but that's pretty normal thinking. Then you get higher highs, higher lows, and then once you cleared this, the unfair pricing is over here at 38.32. If you can clear over, this is yesterday's high. So if you can hold above yesterday's high, take out this prior day's high, then unfair pricing up here, and then the swing stops have to be right up there and right up here, right? So the possibility of the upside, as I was mentioning to Daniel, is there, right? So then next, so that's the first thing I observed, but it's unactionable from my trading point of view, right? Because it's too big a time frame and too much of a loss for the way that I trade. But then what I noticed, so the other thing I've noticed is every day longs have come in. So sometimes it's just observational, right? Every day longs have come in and have gone, they've tried to push in front of the number, then the number comes out, and they just got tanked for 2 days in a row, right? Well, today was a little bit different, right in front of the number. Right in front of the number, they actually sold into the number instead of running up into the number. They sold from basically 6 a.m. until 7:30, right? So, so that told me people were worried about the number and that they were trying to take off. Yet they couldn't break the swing to the downside, right? They could not break the swing to the downside, and NQ was significantly weaker than ES was. ES never went negative, like I think for a split second, but it never went negative, right? So I'm watching, and I see them trying to press, press, and press. I don't see any volume build, and then I'm like, oh, I'm looking to get in on process, right? So I look at this, and I go, oh, okay, they pushed, right? They got pushed back. So remember, so Daniel, this goes in what I've been saying to everyone, right? This just goes right on process. How does it work when we're looking for a trade? What's the simplest thing you can do for a setup, right? You get the market on what I call rails, meaning it's one way, no rotation, right? So the easiest way to fix that problem is to get up to the top of the chart. And then usually when you get to the bottom, this pattern keeps repeating. Like, I'm not a genius, just the pattern keeps going over and over again, right? And I get my long set. That's an A, B, C, D, right? We get another A, B, C, D. Market gets on rails. I wait till it gets to the top, right? Comes back down. Once I get up here, I can assume one of two things. Either we're going to trend up or we're going to go into balance. Doesn't always work out, but it's a good guess, right? And then I go to process. So over here, I'm still processing. This is obviously 7:30:25. I didn't do anything because I was typing. It would have been impossible to take it even if I wanted to, right? So it comes up, comes back down to the bottom, and then I'm doing observation. Hey, yesterday trap back into the bottom of the range. Even though this is even though you could argue this is right shoulder, left shoulder, head and shoulders, you could have done that, right? If you took this trap back into this power bar, you made money. It went to the bottom, right? That was like a 38.04 to 37.90 rotation. It was a good trade if you took it, right? My thinking was, hey, there's no pressure on it, right? So I was like, oh, here's a purple bar on the apex. So I already know just because I have a purple bar on the apex, if it traps back in, it's pretty good odds that the trade will work, right? Just like it did over here, right? There's a purple bar on the apex, trap back in with another star, went to the bottom of the channel. So when so I didn't know here that it would bounce, but when I get the star back in, purple bar star back in, now I'm like, oh, we can lift. And if there's no sell pressure, and I have these Fed speakers coming up, right, and there's too many shorts, one of the things the last couple of days have told me, and I've been discussing this with Peter, right, is like all the lows are poor lows. All the lows are poor lows, but they're all, but they're getting bought, right, in this slow grind. So I'm like, okay, I'll take a shot. Now, I took the same shot over here on the 20, right? And this is what's throwing people. I am sizing so I can take my shots. The difference is between what I'm doing and what a lot of y'all are doing is I'm letting this trade stretch. So this is my sequence in NQ, right? We got up, I started back here, right? So I see we're on rails. I was asleep, but I see we're on rails, right? We traveled to the bottom of the channel. Don't hit it yet, so I'm not going to do anything. Now we get into the bottom of the channel. I know if I get to the top of the channel, I have potential. Not only that, I have a power bar with a purple bar on it. Close back in with a purple bar. I'm okay with that trade, right? So I grab the short down, right? I have a purple bar over here. How did I do this? 710 because I lost on one of the trades here. How did I do this? It looks different now than it did then because I took a stop somewhere in here. And I don't remember how I did it, but I did do it. Ah, I see. Excuse me. I see the sequence. I apologize. So I took a trade here, right? That's a stop. Purple bar star, high odds, bottom of the channel, I'm all right. Starts grinding down. Purple bar without a star, just traps back in there. Small scoot to the upside. Then we long liquidate going into 730, right? Nowhere to trap that I can see visually on the chart, but I look at ES. NQ's dumping while ES is holding, right? So I'm watching that, and then we get over here to 732, right? This is where I go long right here. This is where I'm going long ES. So what I wanted, I was watching NQ. I didn't get the trap on NQ where I wanted it, which is I wanted it on that bar right there, but I could have taken the triangle up and gotten the same 100-point stretch on NQ. I just saw what caught my attention was the lack of weakness on ES, and I thought I had a better chance of getting an extension there than I did in NQ, so I went with a higher certainty. That was it. But the trade sequencing worked the same. If you look through here, right, you could have shorted here, took you to scale, and certainly if you held it, took you to profit, right? And if you look here, so the way it went was if you took it here, you were stopped. And I'm not sure that didn't trap back to the left, but I'd have to go look. And I don't see it easily. I won't go that far back to find the trade on the 20 range bar, right? So that was my motivation, and the higher highs and the higher lows through the course of the evening and the day, right? So that was my entire reasoning for that setup, and that's how it came together. Does anyone have any questions about that? It's the stops I'm not afraid of. Size correctly. Cool. So you got it. I didn't. That's all right. Like I said, that's why you have to trust what's on you. So right here, I'm not even close. Oh well, it's hard. Right here. Oh yeah, it was too fast, Randy. At 7:30, like there was no way to take it. Like there was no visible. There's no way you could actually have. Right, right, and it's actually trapping back over here. Believe it or not, they're trying to trap that into a head and shoulders, but it was just too humanly fast to get it. Or are you talking about over here? You got a star over here. The second one? Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't get the star. It's by a millisecond sometimes on the data, right? So I don't normally trade econ, but between yesterday's return, also Peter had a huge trade on the DAX yesterday, and I think he made $3,700 a car in his trailer. And so the key to all of this, I was talking to Daniel yesterday. I was saying one of the things people don't understand when they come in, when I'm teaching you, like I can't teach you the whole thing in one shot. Like there's no way for someone to come in and have me explain everything I'm looking at and get it. And most people don't expect that, but some people do. Some people come in and they want it to be uber simplified, right? So if you need the uber simplified answer to what trades work, right? You're looking for triangle down star. That's it, followed by purple bar star. And I'll show you the trade, right? You're looking for pink bar star, pink bar star, pink bar star, pink. Let's see if I can find. Let's see if we can find the long. So it's an example of one I would not have shorted, but you want to count it as a stop, be my guess. Purple bar star, pink bar star, no trade, pink bar star that stopped. All right, that was yesterday right into the close. Triangle down star. So if you're looking for a simplistic way to just catapult this into a single setup trade, that's all you're looking for. You're not doing anything else, and you will make money. It's all right. But the key is, and I was explaining, I had this whole. I'm back to talking to Daniel again in Austin, and he sent me this whole long explanation of what he's looking for. So I want to show you something yesterday morning. He was actually on a smaller time frame than I. He trades on a 15. I can't do it, but I want to show you what built up this trade. See this right here see how we're coming down? We're behind that third wave. See that third wave? And then we get the engulfing wave up. See the engulfing wave up? Takes us to the other side of the channel. Then you get triangle down star. So the key to that is, and what Daniel said is, here's the key. I'm shooting for a 2-to-1 RR on the whole trade. That means once I get my scale off, I'm always shooting for the stretch on my trailer, whether it hits or not. I would rather take 100 break-even trades than give up one 2-to-1 RR or 3-to-1 RR on the whole trade. He goes, because you cannot make that up at 10 points at a time. He goes, now sometimes you have to scalp and you're going to give up 20, 30 points, right? He goes, but the goal is whenever you're trading, right, to look for a place. Like if you look at the sequence here, you got your third wave up. You get a engulfing wave down to the downside. You didn't break the power bar in either one of these cases, right? Then it comes back up, pink bar star. You push down, you didn't get much extension. Then you come up, triangle up, star. So if you got upset that you stopped this trade out, for example, right? And then you took this trade and you took it for 10 points, you left 100 points on the table. Now, not everyone's going to have Daniel's mentality. Impossible, right? But Daniel's working multiple time frames to try to figure out where his trades can come from and where they can retrace to. And then he's doing something very simple. He's going, I have no idea if this will make it or not, but I know I'm shooting for 2-to-1 and on the whole position is what he's shooting for, right? So he takes half that trade off to pay for the stop. And then he's like, I'm pushing for 5-to-1 RR on that second part of that trade to get a 2-to-1 net on that trade. You've got to think in those terms. Now, let me tell you where you can't think in those terms. So warning, guys who are qualifying Apex trader accounts that have trailing stops, you can't do that. You just got to take your 20 and 30 points and qualify that. You can do it after you have the account qualified. But if you take this trade and it goes all the way down here for 40 or 50 points and comes all the way back up here and stops you, you'll have blown up that account. It'll be at zero. You can't do it. Okay, so that's my warning to you guys who are trying to qualify or qualify multiple accounts, which I highly suggest. I want to talk about that just for a second. On Apex Trader in particular, okay? On Apex Trader, you if you have a $2,500 stop that's trailing, right? But so if you can get 2 or 3 accounts, you can trade 2 cars per account, right? Or even 1 car and spread it out over three accounts, right? And that gives you that $2,500 stop will be miles away on a 1 contract stop, right? You get a lot of shots, and they have this thing called a trade replicator. They're pretty common. They charge $150 for the ones that works with theirs, but it just duplicates your trade, right? You won 1 contract in 1 account. It does the exact same order on all 3 accounts, right? So the scaling becomes a little bit tricky in there if you're just doing 1 in each account. But you could do it with the micros too, right? Like you could do 10 micros in each account and then scale 5, and that leaves you with 3 net, right? So 30 micros, and you can push it the same way. But my suggestion is you attempt to qualify it and invest in that trade replicator. Again, I, as of yet, although I'm looking into it, do not have a financial relationship outside of they pay me for my trading when I trade in their accounts, right? But it makes a big difference because now that $2,500 stop, let's say you're trading 30 micros across 3 accounts, right? So now your 10 micros, if they stop for 20 points, that's a $400 stop, but per account, spread across 3 accounts. The other negative to it is you're going to pay $88 a month per account, right? So you still have to be on point, right? And then once you get past that $2,500 marker, right, now once you get up to each account up to 5K, now you have 3 accounts where you can spread out the trades across 3 accounts. And now you're not trying to grab every trade out there, but you're looking for the best trades. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say about that. The last piece about this was yesterday when you got the engulfing trade. See how we went on rails down to the downside, get to the top side, triangle down, star, purple bar, star is what lifted this off to the upside, right? If you look at the top, again, you don't get them every day. Sometimes you can go the whole day and not get it. But if you can get it and you get triangle up, star, I know not all of them work, but you should press those trades and try to get stretches. I know you will get stopped. I understand that. You got triangle up, star here that got stuffed. I get it. But if you come back right over here with the same trade and right over here with the same trade, you will get paid. And the best way to really do it is to go, hey, I want to see us go on rails to the downside, get to the top side, and then over here look for your setup, because it'll give you those monster stretches. Does that make sense to everybody? Is that explanation? And if you have a large account, it's the same idea, right? Or your own account, it's the exact same concept, right? So all you can do is, if you see this, go, hey, I'm just not going to short it, right? I'm just not going to short that until I get to a place where it gets to the bottom rail. And then you never get run over in this. You may get stopped on your small trade, but look, if you came up here and even if you just waited and you said, okay, I'll just short over here, you at least got the stretch to the downside, right? It gave you a chance without railroading you over here, right? It's a lot more mentally relaxing to do this. It works on both ES and NQ. It works on higher time frames. You don't have to be the first guy into the fire necessarily. Will you miss tops? Yeah, but you'll get plenty of stretches off the higher low that then breaks out on the right side, right? If you look this morning and you did the same concept, right? The market went on rails at 7:30, top of the channel, bottom of the channel, top of the channel. Now you could have even said it was on rails right here, right? It still went top of channel, bottom of channel, and pushed, right? So look for that pattern. Does it fail sometimes? Yeah. Right? What do you want to see in there? You got to get detail oriented, what you want to see specifically. And then you've got to balance yourself out emotionally. Do you want to trade, right? Do you want to trade when this thing is just after news, right? Is it the setup that you're looking for? Like, for example, over here, if you said, oh, this looks great, right? Well, the setup here would have been trap into triangle, but you got triangle up purple bar. Is that good enough, or does it have to be a star? The highest odds are when it goes triangle star. Triangle purple still works, doesn't work as well. When you get purple trap into purple on a power bar, that works really, really good, right? That works really, really good, right? And eventually, as y'all are going through, I'll teach y'all how to stack the trade. So does anyone have any questions about that? Because the rest of the chart really doesn't matter. We're on trend up at this point as far as I'm concerned, right? And we have econ at 9 o'clock. So what are you waiting for when we're on rails like this, right? Should anyone be shorting this? No, right? What are you waiting for? You can tell we're on rails. So before you short, get to the bottom. What's the risk of the strategy? Is that it just falls out of bed. When that happens, don't worry about it. Go count the number of times it's done it this week alone, where it's gone from one end to the other, and you don't have to get face ripped while the market's doing this. Does that all make sense? Any questions? Does everyone understand why I took the trade this morning? Did that help? Understand why I wanted to grab that trade to the upside? That's all I got. I'm on a monstrous day. That's the best day of the last 3 weeks, I think, with a 40-point rip. I mean, just the 10-point rip alone initially was really good. So I'm very happy about that. Yep, I can do it right now. Let's call that a wrap.